break every now and then to sneeze, so do excuse me if I do need to do that. So I have my lovely guest with me this morning, listeners, and we are going to be talking about mental health. We are live and air reaching out to all our listeners in Luton and surrounding areas through the airwaves of Inspire FM 105.1 FM. We are also streaming live as a audio on the Facebook page where you must give the show a thumbs up and also can message in any comments around today's topic. You can also hear the show by tuning on the Inspire FM webpage. And as always, I am taking in WhatsApp or text messages on the studio number 0479 481 822. Now, mental well-being, something that isn't often talked about, and and I think I've had quite a few shows where I have had professionals come in and give listeners a perspective of where signposted listeners of where they can go to seek help. But I haven't had anyone come in and share their own experience. So I appreciate my guest this morning taking the time out to share her journey, and I'm sure, no doubt, it will resonate with many listeners. So without further ado, can I please get you to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to start by saying that I really love the show. And my name is Amara. I'm a mother of two. I worked as a hospital pharmacist and worked previously in mental health hospitals, helping adults and service users, and also healthcare professionals with their medications, such as advising on doses, the strength of formulation, managing side effects, and also improving adherence to medication.
Oh, so quite an intense role there, and obviously having a lot of exposure to people in the with different types of mental health issues. So
yes, I worked on short stay and forensic court also. So I met a lot of wide range come across a wide range of mental health issues such as schizophrenia, depression, postpartum, anxiety, mania. There's a lot of disorders that you see coming through the doors of these nowadays. There's a lot of patients that I've come across.
Yeah, and it's amazing, I guess, in that role, or having that exposure, you were able to sort of educate yourself in how many terminologies there were related to mental health, because, schizophrenia is a common one, and that's one that everyone knows, but there's so many others that we understand. And so working in that environment and having that exposure was probably a very good educational ground for you to see, oh my goodness, there's so many more that we just are not aware of.
Yeah, definitely. I've always had an interest in mental health, and so I was started my degree, or even before that, I've always been reading books and watching documentaries and trying to keep up because it's not talked about enough. Or I feel like there's still a stigma attached to mental health. That's why I wanted to be part of the solution rather than to help people overcome and see that it's not so impaired without physical health. We should look after our mental health as much as we look after our physical.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's something that everyone has really tried to embed in, that, as much as we try to focus on our outer health physically, how fit we are and healthy we are, we really need to focus on mental health. So just to ask you, mental well-being, what does this actually mean to you?
I think mental well-being to me personally, it's about how you're thinking, feeling, and behaving. It's not just about disorders or diseases, but it's generally day-to-day how you're coping. So if you leave your mental health unchecked, I like to use analogy like a similar effect. If left unchecked, it can boil over. And what we need to realize is mental well-being is how we cope with day-to-day stressors, the busyness of life in general, our relationships, and how we overcome obstacles. It's not just when I feel like sometimes when we're physically unwell, we just take the paracetamol. But with mental health, we have to keep on checking it daily. It's a daily process. We need to put in things in place every day in our lives to improve our outlook on life generally. Absolutely. It's not just about having no mental illness, but having generally feeling good within ourselves and good within our relationships.
Yes, absolutely. And I like the example that you gave of mental health is like a boiling pot, and if you don't keep an eye on it, it's just going to simmer over. Like a simmering pot, and it's just going to boil over. So, how important do you think it is then to keep an eye on this pot that's simmering away? Because what would be the repercussions of not addressing your mental health?
Well, it's definitely very, very important because we're always in our minds. Every day we're thinking thoughts constantly. And if we leave these thoughts unbalanced, unchecked, and they come automatically from the subconscious, most of the time we don't even realize. But we're not actively thinking, it's just the thoughts come again and again in our brain. And I've read a statistics or something like most of nearly 90% of our thoughts are recurring thoughts that we've had before. If you don't address the thoughts and if they're negative, or if they're not something that improve our quality of life, if left unchecked, we could start deteriorating in our mental health quite quickly. It could lead to burnout or a mental health crisis.
Absolutely, and in a nutshell, I mean, not addressing your mental well-being, these thoughts and processes that are going through our minds, would effectively have an effect on your physical well-being as well. Because
definitely. So the way we present ourselves would get affected, but even our relationship with others would get affected very crucially, and our relationship with Allah would be affected also. A lot of people, they start either going over reacting to everything, or they go into a shell. So there's like no in between. Sometimes when you face that mental health crisis or when you do burn out, then you can't sustain relationships in a positive, healthy way. Also, man knows that I've heard a lot of stories of people struggling with their relationship with Allah once they reach that mental health crisis. That's why it's so important to do daily work on our mental health and have some time to ourselves to really think about what we're thinking daily, how we're behaving, and so it doesn't just affect our mental state, but also how we're presenting ourselves daily, with our children, how with our spouses and parents, friends and family.
again, mental health has been around for centuries. It's just something that's not been addressed. So, whenever I think about things that we are becoming more aware of now, I always look at my parents' generation, and I just think that there was so much that if it was addressed, or any light was shone on it, or advice, or some form of support given at that time, they would be in maybe a better place today. So, we learn from our history, and so I'm hoping, shows like this with people like yourself coming on and talking about it, that we are able to, raise this awareness. Now, listeners, if you have just tuned in, this is Mother's Planet, and I'm your host, Neelum. I have my lovely guest with me this morning, and we are talking about the importance of understanding mental well-being, and my guest has explained the importance of it, and her knowledge around this area. Now, I'm going to ask a sensitive question, but this is the reason I had you on the show with me this morning. About if you have ever experienced a time where you felt your mental well-being was being compromised, and what did you do to seek help?
Yeah, I have. So recently I was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis. It's something that's not talked about enough.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you there. So we have postpartum depression, and that's a common one that everyone understands. But can you just, for those that are tuned in
psychosis is more rare compared to depression or anxiety after having a baby. Around 1 in 1,000 women are affected. In depression, not only is categorized as a low mood, in postpartum anxiety, you have anxious thoughts, separation anxiety after having a baby. But in postpartum psychosis, most of the time, for those who are listening, psychosis is when you lose some contact to reality. You might see or hear things that are not there, such those would be like hallucination. Then you might have delusional thoughts and start believing and thinking things that are not true. So for me, I have the latter. I have delusional thoughts when I went through my psychosis. At the time, I was really confused. I was speaking constantly and not stopping. And a lot of the things I was saying were not true. So during my psychotic episode, I thought my friends and family were against me. I thought I wasn't myself. I thought I was someone else. So all these thoughts came to me after I had my newborn baby. So after she was 2 weeks old, I had just a flood of thoughts, and I was constantly talking, going through a psychotic episode. But the funny thing is with psychosis, is the person who's going through it, they don't realize they're psychotic. And that, I guess, has been the most challenging part, because you don't identify it yourself. Yeah. And I guess this is where your family and loved ones around you, they're very kicked in and kicked in. And just going back to your initial diagnosis of this, looking back now, what do you think could have triggered it up? You know, a lot of people say if you're working in a field where you're exposed to loads of things, you're going to start feeling those things. You know, you're going to start thinking about those things. So do you think that, you know, your exposure to working in the world that you were working at and meeting these patients had anything to do with it, you know, having a newborn baby? You know, what do you think were the trigger factors? So for me personally, it came as quite as a shock, because I was working in these wards and I became a patient. And at the time, because I was psychotic, I didn't realize it was for my own benefit. In the moment, I thought, all the health professionals are against me. My family doesn't want me. All these thoughts came flooding to me, but these thoughts were delusional thoughts, they were not true. So thankfully I had a good support network around me, but at the time, after having my daughter, I was sleep deprived. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. I thought I was actually euphoric at the time, because I had a daughter after 7 months, and I was really happy. But I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. On top of that, hormonal changes. I had constant breast coming. I wasn't looking after myself. I didn't give myself a break. I was exclusively breastfeeding. That puts a lot of pressure on mothers as well. So all these things together, they, I think, triggered my sort of mental health deterioration. So when I was like, I don't have any rest time. The whole time I was on the go. All my hours doing things as well for my daughter, staying awake with her. But for other people, it might be like a family history of mental health. I don't have any family history, but some people, they do have family histories, like we were sharing about, or they might have been through, before having a baby, they might have struggled with the mental health. There's a lot of traumas that they haven't faced. You might be having like other children, you don't get rest, you're constantly busy. You might not have a support network around you, you might have no family or friends to help you. So a lot of things can trigger having toxic relationships as well. Your social, cultural, emotional state all can lead to a breakdown or a psychotic episode. But really, the causes are not 100% clear, but generally, it does affect women normally 2 weeks after the birth of a baby. I guess it could be because, you know, of the hormone imbalance. Yeah, definitely. So some person might be healthy the whole time mentally and do all the work. Like myself, I did have a keen interest in mental health. I used to try to do mindfulness, gratitude. I thought I was doing quite well in my mental state, but it just in the said, deteriorated and all my past traumas caught up with me. So you need to do the healing process. That's why I'm saying it's so important daily to try and review our mental health and reflect on our mental health.
Absolutely, and I guess in your situation with your journaling, so once your condition was identified, and what happened, where did you go, what support did you get, and how much are you here today to talk about it?
Yeah. So thankfully, I had a good support network. I had my mom, I had my husband, my brother's also a doctor. So all of them together, they identified that I'm not doing well or I'm going through some sort of psychosis. So they took me to the A&E and over I got the support I needed. I was transferred to another baby unit where I was with my daughter. And over there they have nursery nurses, psychologists, occupational therapists, all around you to give you the support to help you get through. And then once you do get diagnosed with postpartum psychosis, medication is very important. So I'm on regular medication. So it's something that is being weaned off. To prevent relapse, because a lot of women do relapse if the causes are not resolved. So now I'm getting better sleep, I'm on medication, I've received the support from the NHS and my family.
Alongside with the medication, are you doing other things and other strategies to keep yourself on top of your mental health?
Yeah, definitely. So what was really important to me was my morning evening up there when I felt compromised. And also having fresh air every day. That's quite important to me. I taking my daughter for a walk. With my son, I spend quality time with him one-to-one, so I don't have that mental growth. That's another factor that can quite often trigger the psychopathy. But we can't say for sure, but everyone's journey is different. But for myself, I do gratitude now. I write my to-do list. I'm more organized. And I do speak to health professionals when I need to. So I'm on the community mental health team. I've got a clinic coordinator. I've got a coordinator team that looks after me when we help. I've got dedicated for support and also talking to family, explaining to them, communicating with your spouse and your friends about your needs, and putting yourself first at times. That is really important because what new mothers often neglect themselves. I did neglect myself also. But now I realize how important my sleep is because I didn't sleep at all. So if you can, maybe if you have support at night or better food at night, so the baby has a longer stretch of sleep, all these little tips really help with, really help me feel safe.
I do appreciate you taking the time out to join me this morning. Now I'm conscious of the break kicking in. We've got about 4 minutes left until the break kicks in. Thank you again for sharing that episode of your life with us. And moving forward now, you explained how you are trying to address your mental health and finding ways of things that are connected to you. Now that you have experienced what you have experienced, and the support that you have gained, the family connections that you grow stronger, can you offer those that are tuned in this morning any tips, any suggestions from your own experience, anything that you feel would help them or benefit them?
Yeah, I'd say that mental health is a lot of stigma around mental health, and a lot of people do not talk about it, especially new mothers. We're expected to be happy all the time. We just had a baby, obviously it's a very big celebration, and we feel guilty asking for help or I'm not feeling too good. I've got intrusive thoughts. Some people might face intrusive thoughts. Some people might not bond with their child. Some people might just be burnt out in general. if you're not well, if you have healthcare visitor, we are all here to help you. To prevent this from happening in the first place, we can do things. So for myself personally, I try to prioritize myself now if I can and take a patching day out for myself. Make foods that are mine instead of asking the children, oh, what do you want? Sometimes we're so caught up in our kids, what they're not life and this life, so like their routine is that we forget, oh, maybe I would like to eat this today. We have our own hobbies, and start crochet, so it's taking time to do things for yourself, exercising, going on a walk. These all might help prevent to facing that burnout in the first place. Even doing like a nightly skincare routine, I've started doing that as well. It's just to feel good about yourself, wearing your clothes, the clothes that you say for occasions, wearing them on a daily basis can even help you uplift yourself, getting ready for the day, not staying in pajamas. That really helps me feel better. Putting some makeup on, getting ready for the day, that really helps me feeling confident. I'm trying to help myself, and I'm already communicating with my family and my husband, saying, oh, this is a biggest time of day, just 15-20 minutes to myself so I can take care and have self-care, having date nights with your spouse, all of these things. But if you do feel like you can't cope, or if you don't have a support network around you, definitely speak to a healthcare professional, and you can get call 111 if you're having a mental health crisis. There's an option for mental health on 111, and also there is counselling and local charities, and local council also gives charities on the NHS website. You can access all this information for facing a mental health crisis, and having boundaries with friends and family. If you are getting too overwhelmed with guests or all sorts, that's really important as well.
That's some sound advice there, thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for taking the time out to join me this morning. I wish you all the best with your health journey, and inshallah, no doubt, with the steps that you're taking, you will be back. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Listeners, we are heading over to a short commercial break. Journey after a break. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM. Inspire 105.1 FM.
On the authority of Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, who reported that the Messenger of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, he who believes in Allah on the last day should either speak good or remain silent.
हज़रत अबू हुरैरा रज़ी अल्लाह तआला अन्हु से रवायत है, नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया, जो शख्स अल्लाह और यौम आखिरत पर ईमान रखता है, वो या तो भलाई की बात कहे वरना खामोश रहे. And the winner is your business being heard on the radio. Become a real winner by advertising your products and services with a memorable campaign here on Inspire FM. Radio advertising is ear-catching, affordable and effective. It's the ideal way to get your business noticed. So find out more today. For details, click on inspirefm.org, then contact us. Universal Clutches on Cosgrove Way in Luton offer more than just clutch repairs. We also now cover MOTs, servicing, brakes, suspension and vehicle recoveries. We've got you covered whether you drive a manual or semi-automatic car, van or truck. We aim to provide a quick and reliable service, and Universal Clutches are an AA and RAC approved garage. For a reliable service you can trust, call 01582 876 300 or find Universal Clutches on Google, Instagram and Facebook.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sue. If something in your body doesn't feel right, talk to us. The thought it could be cancer can play on your mind, but most people who go for tests find out it's not. Finding out sooner is always better. Whatever the result, your NHS is here for you. Contact your GP practice. Are you ready to embark on a journey of purpose and impact? The East England Ambulance Service is recruiting now. Are you seeking training in a new career or looking for a challenging development? Start your career for life with East.
Find out the roles of frontline emergency operations, control rooms, support services, and non-emergency transport. Visit www.eastamb.nhs.uk and click Join the Team. Make a real difference. Join the East of England Ambulance Service and start your career for life. This Ramadan, let's bring the heart of our community into the spotlight. Got a dish that's the top of the table, a recipe passed down for generations, or maybe a creative twist on a classic? Inspire FM wants to feature you in our special Ramadan cooking show. We're recording now to air your culinary masterpiece this Ramadan. Imagine your dish inspiring thousands as we share the flavors that bring us together during this special month. Don't wait. Spots are limited. Give us a message today at info@inspirefm.org and let's set up the recording session before Ramadan begins. Put together and make this Ramadan unforgettable.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Ian Khalid. You are tuned into the Rise and Shine Show with Tyler. Keep it locked.
Does your car sound like this on the school run? Want to change that? Then tune into the Rise and Shine Show with Brother T. Sing along to Awesome Nasheeds, answer our puzzling riddles, and tell us what you think of our newest event. The Rise and Shine Show, every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
From the studios to Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Good morning and assalamualaikum. Welcome back to Mother's Planet. It's Friday, 24th of January, and the time has just gone 10:30. I am your host, Neelum. Now, in the show so far, I have been talking with my lovely guest who had tuned in for the first half of the show and talked about her own experience and knowledge around mental well-being. She shared her own experience and shared some very sound advice to all those that are tuned in this morning about how to address our own mental well-being. And, you know, it's not something that you review yearly, it's something that you should be dipping in and out of on a daily basis. Now, I reached out to many of the ladies in the community, asking for them to share with me their journeys and how they address their mental well-being and try not to this on a daily basis. I have to say, listeners, I was completely surprised with how many wonderful women of the community reached out and shared their journey with me. So I cannot thank you all individually enough and how grateful I am for you to make this show a possibility and also for sharing some really deep experiences and thoughts that you've all gone through. It's not an easy topic, mental well-being, and you know, the word mental itself often has a lot of stigma around it, and people don't like to address it or think about it, or even think that there's anything negatively going wrong in their body or in their minds. So it's not something that's talked about enough, and I'm hoping that in shows like today and future shows I'm able to address this and just, you know, recap on it and remind listeners of how important it is for us to focus on our mental well-being. I also did say earlier in the show I have a heavy cold, so do forgive me for my congestion and my outburst of coughs every now and then. And so I wanted to share the messages because I was inundated with the amazing journeys that women have had, and I wanted to do this in this part of the show. So some listeners, ladies, have asked to be remained anonymous, and some have having to share their name. This is an anonymous one. To help my mental well-being, I go for walks in the fields. The nature and fresh air and oxygen is important for our bodies. Otherwise, I'm not great at practicing it myself, but I encourage my clients to do mindfulness, and that is listening to music, colouring, dancing, eating this. I want to do this. So, it's not being selfish, but it's just reminding yourself that you have a presence and, putting your own thoughts and feelings forward there as well. So, making sure you are thinking about yourself. Personally, I try to take time for myself. I have 4 children, so I play some sports like basketball, badminton, and archery. And if you are struggling, it's important to seek help and confide in your feelings with loved ones like family members, friends, or a professional. Mental health is an illness and should not be a taboo subject. Absolutely. And I hope that me sharing some of these journeys and experiences and advice from the women of the community is giving us the opportunity where we are going to feel confident about talking about our mental status. I walk through a park, I walk through the park, I look at nature like trees, grass and flowers. This helps me. A nice warm bath with salts and relax. Doing an activity like crafts or painting is also good, even cooking. Best thing for me is being able to go away to a trip, especially the beach, touching the sand and looking at the waves of the sea. Mashallah, I wish I could go more. A break from the norm is always helpful. Seeing and appreciating Allah's creation of women. And that's so nice, absolutely. A break from the norm, I think that is something that we all need. And for some of us, a break from the norm is even going to a local park, something that you just don't do. And going out and observing nature. A while ago, my daughter was given, youngest daughter was given an activity for her school where she had to do, I think the objective was to be mindful. She had to go for a walk and listen out for different sounds. So for her, it felt like a game. She was sitting there saying, I can hear the trees, I can hear the leaves. But for me, it was a huge impact of a walk because I realized how many sounds were around me that I, in my normal walks, don't hear and don't even look out for. So, in the distance, I could hear a fire engine or a police car going off. I could hear birds, I could hear the leaves hissing, I could hear the trees, the leaves crunching on their footsteps. The walk was so powerful because these are all sounds that happen on a daily basis. But when you go from one place to another one, you're either on a mission to get something done or just go and do some steps. We often forget to be mindful. So, when this lady said that she took a walk through the park and looked at nature like trees, grass and flowers, made me think of that walk that I did with my daughter about how many things there are out there that we often take for granted and we don't actually look at and observe and appreciate. But, we have the opportunity to be around all of these things. The next one is controlling one's emotions is so important. The minute I found myself crying lots, I realized I needed some help. I thanked my family as I was able to get out my emotions and some reasons of why I was feeling so down. They supported me by helping me with chores and encouraging me to do an activity I enjoy. I really like horse riding, but never made the time or effort. Now I go and connect with nature and my horse and really enjoy this hobby. I have so important, not just saying, right, I've gone 40 plus and I now need to focus on eating really well and making sure that my diet is clean. It's not real, and we have to be kind to ourselves. Our innate nature will crave sugar, will crave sweetness, or savory things, and we should every now and then listen to that little inner voice and indulge in these things because they are there for that reason. But it's finding the balance and it's making sure that you are not overdoing either of the two. So you're not overeating healthily and neglecting some of the sweetness, or you're not overindulging on the sweetness and neglecting what should be good for you. So it's very hard, but trying to find that balance is key. Recently, I started to learn about women's health, about my menstrual cycle. This has really helped me gain a deeper understanding of my body, and so I understand my feelings better on a day-to-day basis. I've also started writing. I've joined a group of high-achieving ladies who meet for an online writing session twice a month. The lady running the session is a neuroscientist and is able to help us navigate our growth through the power of writing. I found healing in both learning and writing, which has greatly impacted my mental health. That's fantastic, and I love how she has addressed the menstrual cycle, which is another topic, another show, and inshallah I will cover this, because there is so much aggression overwhelmed around our menstrual cycle, and especially as we get older, we're hitting the perimenopause years, our emotions, our feelings, these are all playing a part. Now, again, like my guest earlier said, when a woman's had a baby, there's a hormone imbalance, and we need to reset ourselves. And again, when a woman ages and she's having her menstrual cycle, there's phases of this eventually phasing out from our lives. So there's hormones attached with that, emotions and feelings. And this lady has chosen to write about it and talk about her own feelings through writing about it. And it's really helped, and I think it's fantastic. My first suggestion would only apply to Muslims. I read a few verses of the Quran, 5 to 10, read translation at least 2 to 3 times a week. I also go for walks, minimum 30 minutes, again, 2 to 3 times a week, and try to do different routes to keep the walks more interesting. Sometimes brain training games on my mobile is a good distraction, i.e. memory games, puzzles, word games. These can be relaxing and challenging at the same time. Totally agree with you, and that's by Hasna. I totally agree with you. Yes, word games, puzzles, things that are challenging the brain, these are good because as we get older, we forgetful, so playing memory games and challenging games like that, it's just keeping the brain ticking over. So, having that time out just to play on a game is a good idea. Mental well-being for me is taking the time out to do things that are focused on me. Firstly, relaxing in a candlelit bar. Though I know this may be challenging for busy mums, I try to have one to help me relax. Number 2, socializing with friends, talking to them about challenges and just having a good laugh. Number 3, reminding myself that everything bad and good comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there is always good in it, even if we may not see it at the time. This has helped me not to get drawn into the challenging situations. Number 4, eating well, yet allowing myself to have the occasional treat. Again, thank you so much to this listener, lady, for sharing her thoughts there. Some fantastic points there. Socializing with friends, on a transformative path of self-growth and healing, which has given me strength to keep forward, keep looking forward. And some of the practices that I include in my life is meditation. Meditation, taking the time out to center myself, has been invaluable in calming my mind. Journaling. Writing out my thoughts and emotions has helped me process and release my thoughts. So this is going back to something that the lady earlier mentioned about how I came to gain a deeper understanding of her body. And she has felt that writing and putting it down on paper has helped her gain a better insight to her body and the way her cycles work. So journaling is hugely impacting for my own experience. When I had my children, I do remember in a recent clear out, I came across a few books that I think every time I had a child, I bought myself a book because I knew I needed to let some emotions out. And sometimes it's difficult to talk to somebody because while your spouse, your parents, your siblings, your best friend can be there and hear everything, sometimes when you've said something or you've shared something, you can't take it back. You can't undo what you've shared or uploaded. And, it's very hard for the listener to unhear it and unforget it as well. So I always found that whenever I had a baby, I needed to let some steam off, let some emotions out, let some thoughts out, but I didn't want anyone to judge me, think about it, or, know about what my inner thoughts were. So I put it down on paper. And I remember, there was no structure to my writing. It was literally me just speaking and writing. So I was dictating and writing. And I've gone back, up to years later, months later, and looked back at some of these books, and I read my thoughts. And well, I was so glad that I let that all out on paper, not to a physical person or, anyone that I was perhaps angry with at the time. It made me clear my head. It cleared my emotions. And I think journaling is so underrated, and it should be something that we do, and we let that steam off. Because sometimes when you read back what you've written, you often read it back and say, gosh, I was really thinking this, was I really having these thoughts? And you can almost self-feel yourself saying, right, okay, come on, get a book with it. You don't need to be feeling like this. Why don't you try this? And you're diagnosing yourself before you know it. So it's often quite good because I find that once you've written it down and you've read it back, you realise that sometimes it was a really tedious reason for being so angry or whatever. But also you let that steam off and it's not impacted anyone. You just got it out on paper. Breath work is the next thing she does. Learning to focus on my breath has become a lifeline in moments of anxiety. Gratitude practice, shifting my focus to what I'm grateful for even on the hardest days, has been a game changer. Mindfulness, just do simple stretches and, kicking some bones and make yourself feel a lot better. Connecting with others, surrounding myself with people who understand and uplift me has made a huge difference. Again, being around friends and loved ones that release those endorphins, those happy hormones, and make you feel good. Therapy and self-help resources, speaking with a professional and educating myself about mental health has provided me with the guidance and perspective. I believe wholeheartedly that healing is possible when we equip ourselves with the right mindset and tools. It's an ongoing journey, and while the challenge may not disappear, how we respond to that challenge can have a huge impact. I hope this can inspire and support someone who is also going through a difficult time. And that's from Esther Whitman. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this lovely lady. She has been on the shows before with Shemaza, and she has talked about the importance of well-being on her shows. Now, I just want to say a huge thank you to all the wonderful women for taking the time out and making this show so fruitful. Everyone's journey, advice, and experience has no doubt resonated with many of us. And some key advice has been shared by everybody about how to address mental health. In a nutshell, if I can say that, because mental health is a huge topic and should not be shunned aside. It's something that should be reviewed on a daily basis, and it's something that we should address and discuss and talk about. And as a mum of daughters and sons, because while we know that a lot of hormonal imbalances lie with women after having children, after menopause, there's so many stages of our life where there's a hormone imbalance and where we are going to be feeling different emotions. It does also affect men. So, talk to your spouse, sit down and take that time out with your husband and, let him talk about his mental health, his mental well-being, and, be a support network for each other, and help each other through this. I have learned so much myself through today's show about the importance of mental health. I've had professionals come on my show and talk about channeling our mental well-being and how to address our mental well-being, but actually having women that have gone through experiences and have embraced mental health has opened a different eye for me to go, and I will no doubt be doing more shows on this, and I'm hoping that in doing this, we are addressing subjects, we are talking about them, and not neglecting these things. I wish everyone